Hello and welcome to DisruptEDtv, where every little idea can make a big difference in your classroom or in your school. And today we have a very special guest, Dr. Christopher Nagy, and I'm going to read your title out. Superintendent of Schools, Burlington County Special Services School District, and Bergen County Institute of Technology. That's a mouthful. So let's start, Christopher, with you maybe parsing that out, breaking that down for us.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate being here. There are 21 vocational technical school districts in the state of New Jersey, and they are county run. And then there are 4 special services school districts. So I have one of those 21 school districts that's a county technical school focus, and one out of the 4 special services school district where we service students from pre-K all the way through age 21.
Okay.
And then for the Burlington County Institute of Technology, we service students from grades 9 through 12, and then we have a post-secondary program. So those that are high school graduates and are looking to pick up a credential, an industry credential, are then able to go to the Burlington County Institute of Technology, the adult division.
Okay.
And we have over 30 career paths that we offer, anything from pre-engineering to allied health. We have entertainment technology. We also have your typical trades, your construction technology, such as welding, HVAC, electric, and also carpentry and construction related things.
Well, that's great. And you're talking about students that are challenged in various ways, from children with disabilities, perhaps, all the way to exceptional children.
That's
right?
correct. So I
Let's
never
say children. I mean, they're really learners at every level.
They're exceptional in their own ways, all the way across the board, and
Good.
and that's what makes it so enjoyable, that you can make an impact on so many students across a spectrum of ability levels, and to be able to provide them hope, and to be able to provide them with a focus on a career.
Yeah,
And
that
an
is so
equal
important.
opportunity to learn something too.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
that's really great.
So it's a joy to come to work every day. I never have a boring day, and I love being in the business of creating the future that the students and many of the staff do not yet know about.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the people watching the program are going to want to know more about what a day in your life is like, because it sounds really interesting to me. You also got a recognition, I think. You mentioned the Burlington County Regional Chamber of Commerce. Recognized you in last November, as the Emerging Leader of the Year for 2017.
Yes.
What does that recognition mean?
Well, I feel that it's part of the contribution that my team and I made in terms of creating a pathway for individuals to be able to earn industry credentials, to be able to be positioned to get a job, and to get a good paying job.
Okay.
Over 50% of the students that go on to college, they don't make it past their second year of college. And so they do not have skill sets. So as a result of that, we have a number of students, not only in high school that we can impact, but we then also are able to go after that whole market, because there are demands right now. Made in America. They're seeing more and more business coming back from China and Japan because of quality issues, coming back to the United States. So we're right now at the sweet spot, if you will, in being able to, one, provide the skill development for students and adults, as well as providing them with a pathway to get a job, and more so that they're able to earn a very, very good living, much more than many of the college graduates, where they may just graduate with a liberal arts degree, for example, and not able to find a job, or they're working in fact, that's something that we really pride ourselves. So when working with the Chamber, we're trying to create opportunities that we would be able to provide skilled individuals, students, whether they're leaving high school and or after high school, having a credential, then going on to college, building upon that credential in college, and then ultimately circling back to come back to Burlington County and to make a difference.
Well, that's terrific. So as Emerging Leader of the Year, you're really serving 2 communities. The business community, because they're always looking for talented labor, talented people for their workforce. You're also serving the community of learners who may otherwise have fallen through the cracks of an educational system that might not have recognized their exceptional nature.
Right. And so that's correct. So being a solutions-oriented educational system to provide opportunities for young people and adults.
And that, to me anyway, that sounds like the disruptive idea.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so what we're going to be doing is exploring some resources you brought with you in a bit. But you also mentioned in your application to appear on the program that technology changed in 2007 and you're adapting to that basically. Maybe you can outline that for us?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Tom Friedman. First, he started with The World is
You
Flat.
brought one of his books.
And I did bring one of his books. Thank You for Being Late is what the actual book is called. And it's a strange title for a book, but the bottom line is this. He was interviewing so many different individuals when he was looking at a whole focus on technology, on globalization, and on the environment. And as a result of all of his guests coming to him, most of them came late because they either had a train issue, they had a transportation issue, or something interrupted their process in order to come with him. And he found himself many times having to wait 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour for some of these guests that he was interviewing.
Interesting.
And as a result of that, that's when he really was hit with the idea that we have so much disruption. Technology is running our lives so much so that, in essence, we're not taking the time to slow it down, to stop, and to think and process. And it was that downtime that he had while waiting for the interviewees where he was able to put all of the pieces together. And why 2007, he got a chance to actually see what happened. We remember 2008 for the market crash.
Sure.
We don't necessarily remember what happened in 2007.
You might have missed the big story on Action News.
Right. And I strongly recommend it as a great read. But for example, that's when the first iPhone was launched in 2007.
Okay.
That's when Facebook was launched. That's when Twitter was launched. That's when Intel launched for the first time a non-silicon chip. So to multiply the speeds in the processing. Google bought YouTube at that particular point in time. The Android processing system was actually developed. Airbnb was actually launched without owning any real estate.
That's interesting.
IBM Watson was launched, and it was the first time you saw artificial intelligence in really becoming very much well known in terms of mainstream idea. Right. So there's just some ideas. Oh, the other thing too is we have digital books today. Well, the first book, the Kindle, came out in 2007.
Was in 2007.
So you can see, and that's now catching up with us. There's that acceleration piece that is taking place, and that's what's disrupting our lives, whether in education, work, and or leisure. All of these technologies are part of that revolution. Yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, now we need to take a break, and I can tell we've got a lot to talk about because we've one book down, 2 books to go. So when we come back from the break, we'll have more of a great conversation with Chris Nagy of the Burlington County Institute of Technology here on DisruptEDtv.
Don't go anywhere.
Planning a large-scale event or conference? Consider Brookdale Community College and its versatile Collins Arena. The Collins Arena is the premier venue for all kinds of corporate and community events. Live concerts and celebrity happenings, trade shows and expositions, sporting events and tournaments. The Collins Arena has countless layout options to meet your needs. Bring your next event to life at the Collins Arena at Brookdale Community College. Go to brookdalecc.edu/events and start planning your next event now.
Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Al Cini.
I'm Joe Asamendi.
And but we have a great guest show. I mean,
Absolutely.
we've been talking during the break. There's so many things to talk about. Dr. Christopher Nagy of the Burlington County Institute of Technology, and I'm going to start this segment with the question we just discussed. How are you, Chris?
I appreciate that very much. I'm very, very happy to be here today, and it is a question that comes up with when we take a look at the culture in schools. Me many times, and I'm a firm believer in applied positive psychology and introducing those principles of PERMA V from Dr. Martin Seligman, coming out of his book, Flourish.
The second book? Can you hold that up?
Yeah, second book, and talks about the whole idea of positivity, engagement, relationships, meaning, achievement, And then with the Flourishing Center in New York City, of which I'm now certified, and I have 2 other staff members certified in applied positive psychology, they've added V for vitality. And so when you take a look at these 6 particular letters that represent key dynamics and principles of applied positive psychology, you go back to that question about how are you? It's a space marker, if you will. Many times when we are not sure what to, we're introduced to someone and we don't really know them, we don't know what else to say, how are you? In applied positive psychology, however, we try to take a look at a different approach. And because some people will give you a whole list of all of the negative things in their lives or all of the maladies that they have. So instead, it's recommended that you take a different approach and watch what happens when you just shift this just a little bit. And that is, instead, what is good with you today?
Instead of you automatically going to all the things that are wrong with you today.
That's right. Because we're wired for negativity. It's the human condition.
Right.
And so when I look at the school and building school culture, and I did this when I was the superintendent of schools in North Jersey, worked with Louis Alloro, who was one of the first 100 psychologists that have gone through Dr. Seligman's program at UPenn for applied positive psychology. We actually developed a whole culture there where we had staff involved, we had students involved with groups. We even had such interest that the parents got involved with trying to learn the principles. And ultimately, before I left, we actually had language arts courses that were built around the principles of applied positive psychology. The kids loved it.
Really?
And so I'm now bringing that to Burlington County and infusing that within what it is that we're doing. Another example would be, many times at the beginning of a school year, a teacher might ask, how was your summer?
How was your vacation?
How was it? Well, for some of the students, they may not have been able to afford a vacation. Or the parents may have gone through a nasty divorce, and or they may have lost a loved one during that time. So again, the principles of applied positive psychology, and this is all science. This is not something which is a fact.
I'm so glad you said that. It's not platitudes. It's not Pollyanna stuff. You change your brain wiring by the way you answer that question.
Absolutely. So in this particular case, instead, we would recommend to teachers to say, instead of how was your summer, what was the most memorable part of your summer? Everybody can think of one thing. And what happens, and this is the physical part in the development of the brain, there is a rush of blood that comes to the frontal cortex of the brain. And as a result of that, you have higher processing. That's the part of your brain where you have processing, imaging, creativity. And we actually, when I was in North Jersey, we actually applied that a couple of times to students prior to taking an important test and or their SATs and or their AP scores. We actually found that there was a degree of increase in student achievement as a result of that exercise just prior to taking that important test.
It's a small step that you can do.
Well, it's a small step that any teacher in any classroom of any subject can do without having to disrupt the entire disrupt. I shouldn't say disrupt. It's a positive disruption of a standard routine where we just don't allow that negative programming to interfere with the way we learn anymore.
Absolutely.
We encourage people to respond positively to questions like that.
And as a result of that, we've also infused principles of mindfulness in our programs. So much so in our special services school district, as a result of the two and a focus on character development, our alternative school at the Burlington County Special Services School District this year was recognized as a national and a state school of character. It's never happened for us in either one of the school districts.
That is terrific. That's great.
My hope is that we build upon that now in all the other schools.
And you believe it's as a result of
this book?
It's that and the focus on the principles of character education.
Of character education. Yes. That's so important. That's where does all this come from? Where did this come from for you?
Well, when I was in North Jersey, many times I was tired, and you read the news all the time. Everything is focused on negativity.
Right.
Politics, you name it. There's negativity everywhere. I was tired of it, and not only that, we saw Columbine. We saw a number of the different shootings, taking place throughout the country, and it was as a result of students not being happy with where their situation in their particular lives. And I was looking at offering building blocks for students that can actually change their lives and allow them to be lifelong learners, to have principles that they could build upon and apply no matter if they were in school or actually in the workplace. And as a result of that, be happier and well situated and have that whole focus on well-being and balance. I mean, I created an app for my desktop that actually has those 6 letters, you know, the PERMA V. And many times I'll look at that because I'll know when I'm out of sync and out of balance.
Right.
And it just helps you just mentally just to do that shift.
Just to keep you centered.
Just to keep you centered.
Yeah,
That's correct.
right. Back into that zone of high performance where you feel good about things.
And what Dr. Seligman talks about, being in a state of flow.
Okay.
So much so that time doesn't matter, that you're able to be engaged. And that's kind of what we're looking at, and that what I would like to create an atmosphere and a climate that our students, because of the PERMA V model, are then able then to focus in on the classroom material and enjoy that engagement and what it is that they love to do.
We have a director of education, Rich Allen. We sometimes appears on the program too, and he talks about the importance of flow just in the way we operate DisruptEDtv. And I think what I want to do is explore how you changed your culture to take all that into account. But we also have another book to talk about. We're coming up on a break, so. We'll be right back with more great DisruptEDtv with Dr. Christopher Nagy at Burlington County Institute of Technology.
Keep the flow going.
Keep the flow going. We'll be right back.
Great.
Thank you.
That's great.
Our culture is what we believe in, and our brand is what we do in our work. When our brand and our culture are in alignment with each other, we become more than just good. We become excellent. Think of this alignment as a mix of flavors in our water cooler. When we gather around and drink it ourselves, we're savoring our culture. When we serve it to our friends and neighbors, we're expressing our brand. So, what's in your water cooler? For groups of all kinds and sizes, our brand and culture alignment toolkit will provide you with a unique water cooler recipe that expresses and makes you the very best at what you do. It all starts with a simple, affordable 20-minute online survey. Completely confidential, you can take it whenever suits your schedule. Within 2 days, you'll receive a BCAT report that expresses your team's signature brand and culture in plain English and includes simple exercises that will help align your team's leaders, stakeholders, and members.
Welcome back, everybody, to DisruptEDtv. My name is Alcini,
Joe Osmendi.
and this guy's name is Chris Nagy from the Burlington County Institute of Technology, and we're talking about positive cultures in an educational organization. And Chris, before the break, we were talking about how you make, you talked about positivity as certainly an important personal goal, but the next step in elevating that is to make it part of the culture of an organization. How do you do that?
Correct. Well, part of it is selling the vision to the staff, and as a result of that, what we did is we had 2 other staff members trained in principles of applied positive psychology. Then what we did is we created a website, we provided resources, and so that was the beginning piece. Then we made it as part of professional development for staff.
Okay.
And then we integrated that and brought these trained staff members into solutions for difficult situations. And so as a result of that, we'd have students, for example, see the individual who was certified in applied positive psychology. And as a result of that, students started catching on and they started liking this. So then it went then to groups and having a group dynamic. And now the goal is to create a parent academy where we will address some of those key issues like that PERMA V that I was talking about. And you know, the whole issue, what I think about, many times we take for granted, I'll just use this as a metaphor. We look at the Asics sneaker, the running sneaker, and many times we'll say, well, Asics is Asics. Okay, fine, it's a good sneaker, etc. But the thing I really like about it, and it really personifies what this whole focus is all about, and that is that it's actually the founder is a Japanese man who used Latin to actually name his company. Each one of those letters, Asics, stands for this: Anima sana in corpore sano, a healthy mind and a healthy body. And that's really the whole focus on what it is that we're trying to do with social and emotional leadership. And that's what we're trying to do right now in our school district.
No, that's terrific. And I think that creates a segue into the way we communicate in the modern world.
That's correct.
And that's this book, I think. Is that right?
That's right.
Socialnomics?
When you think of Socialnomics 2017, everybody has a chance to look at that on, and just certainly Google that in the YouTube. It just opens up a whole world that we never even thought about. The human condition, as it is, only has an attention span of about 7 seconds. For a goldfish, it's 8 seconds. And so, so as a result of that, that's the disruptive part about our classrooms. And how is it that students learn? You need to be on all the time, or at least provide an opportunity for students to be engaged, and that they like what it is that they are engaged in.
I mean, you look at a 50-minute class as a chunk, several 7-second chunks.
Right.
That's your point about needing to be on all the time.
Correct. So, according to Coleman, socialnomics, we don't have a choice whether to use social media. It's the choice is how well we use it. And I think that's really the bottom line. We had a problem. People didn't know about us. BCIT. We have a great product. People didn't know about us. We realized we need to use social media more.
Get the word out.
So first thing we did is we went to our administrators and we trained them on the use of social media. Our presence went up over 100% in a very, very short order. Parents started then capturing what it is that we were doing. There was more interest. Our projected enrollment going into this next year in terms of those students who have actually applied we're 3 to 4 months ahead of schedule right now compared to last year as a result of some of the efforts that we've made. Social media has made that possible for us. One, to put us on the map. Two, to actually capture what is actually going on in the classrooms. That's great. And parents are saying, wow, I didn't know my son or my child could do that. That's really interesting. And so as a result of that, we're now bringing the classroom to the rest of the world. Through social media. Let's think about it. So many people are now communicating through social media more so than, for example, email. It's actually going to outpace email in a very, very short order. Whoever thought, when you take a look at the world languages, that the world populations in terms of the biggest, other than China, one would never think that you would have Facebook as one of the biggest communities. Also taking a look at YouTube as one of the biggest world communities. Not thinking necessarily as a positional, like China, for example, a country or whatever. But now this is more through social media that it becomes its own virtual community. The thing that we do find, though, with social media, there's also the downside to the social media piece, and that is it's an escape many times for people to create an avatar of the person that they would like to be and want everybody else to see them in a different light than who they currently are.
Right.
And that's what ties back to that social and emotional piece and making sure that we try to rewrite those neurons in terms of the negativity. Because if people look at Facebook, or they look at Instagram, or they look at a number of these different places and say, oh my goodness, look at that, they're going on all these vacations, they're going here, they're going here. That may not necessarily be the case, but that's the avatar that's being created, and people are buying that as opposed to taking a look internally and saying, I'm happy with my life, this is the reason why, and the principles of applied positive psychology are allowing me to be balanced.
Or people faking things like going on vacation and stuff like that.
Correct.
They want to do that, but they really aren't.
But so I'm a firm believer that social media not only is it's a mandate. We cannot be dinosaurs. We need to adapt it, and this goes back to the whole idea of the disruption of technology. We have social media, your YouTubes, your Tencent, your Facebooks are the new world populations, and they'll only continue to grow over time.
If we don't recognize that, it's going to roll over us.
That's absolutely correct.
So the two takeaways from this, Chris, and this is such a great interview, and I think it's valuable to me. I'm sure it's valuable to the people watching. The first takeaway is that social media is the way you communicate now. That's all there is to it. So stop thinking about posting things on websites even, or sending out memos certainly, or even emails. Now it's Twitter, it's Instagram. That's how you communicate your image. That's one takeaway. And the second takeaway is it's important for that image to be positive and not negative.
Right. And, I mean, so for example, we actually looked at focusing on our website. We looked at focusing on the newspaper and getting different postcards out, etc. And what we realized is that's old school.
That's old school.
Right, yeah.
Social media is where it's at, and that's how we're reaching the parents, that's how we're reaching the students, that's how we're reaching prospective students in the middle school. Kids today spend 5 to 6 hours a day on social media. We should actually be there so that we can actually connect with the students.
Right, and instead of seeing that as broken behavior, that is accepted behavior, adapt to it.
Correct.
And that is, I think that's such a powerful message, especially for people maybe in our generation who might be kind of resistant to those kinds of things.
right.
I mean, we tend to want to pretend that the world is going to change back to something. But the reality is you really can't remember the future. That's one of the biggest mistakes a person can make, to try to remember the future in terms of something they recall. The future won't be like that at all.
No, and that's what I really like about my job is I'm in a position where I can actually bring the future to the present. And because we are preparing students today for a world that does not yet exist. And so those skill sets the students learn will actually turnkey into creating new knowledge in the future. And part of what I find is that when we take a look at this whole arena, technology is a tool that enables us to really be better selves.
To be our better selves.
To be our better
That's
selves, yes.
probably a great way to end the program. We're coming up on that part of the program where you get to explain to everybody out there how to reach you and how you can help them. So Dr. Christopher Nagy, if you don't mind, please let everybody know how to get you.
Absolutely. I'm very, very excited to be on the program. If any of you have interest in any of this, you're able to go to my website at Burlington County Institute of Technology under the Superintendent's website, and also going to the Burlington County Special Services School District. I also have a blog that I post on that website. I also am on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to see a number of articles that I've published on the areas that we talked about today. I'm also on Twitter, and just look for my name, you'll be able to find me there. And I'm just certainly be available to be of help to anyone. I hope you enjoy some of the articles, and look forward to publishing more on this area as we continue our journey to bring the future to the present for our students and staff.
That's exciting. That's a great way to end the program. Thank you, Dr. Nagy. It was a pleasure having
Thank you very
you.
much. It's an honor and privilege.
And thanks all of you for joining us on this episode of DisruptEDtv. We hope you're able to use 1 or 2 or 300 of the ideas that Chris Nagy has shared with us today to make your classroom a little better, your school a little better. And my name is Alcini.
I'm still Joe Osamendi.
And you're going to be the next time too.
Yes, I am.
And the next time we do DisruptEDtv, we hope you'll join us.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thanks very much.
That's it.
Excellent. Absolutely great.